Welcome to the channel, and please join us in a lively discussion concerning British politics, specifically, why is this UK Labour government so rubbish? As you probably know, the Labour Party, under Sir Keir Starmer, returned to office on July 5, 2024, after 14 years in exile. The last Labour Prime Minister was Gordon Brown in 2010, and the last Labour electoral victory. That was way back in 2005. This is significant, because whatever your political persuasion, it is reasonable to agree that the party has had sufficient time to regroup, rebrand, and come up with a sensible strategy for competent governance. Sadly, it would appear that no such strategy has materialized. Keir Starmer's 2024 victory was certainly a landslide, in terms of seats, affording him immense power within the House of Commons. However, as a percentage share of the vote, it was a poor achievement compared to previous election winners, and, in fact, a lower popular vote share than even Jeremy Corbyn achieved back in 2019. In Labour's defence, it is true that the traditional political divisions are fragmenting, in large part thanks to the emergence of the Reform Party. Nonetheless, this leaves Starmer in the awkward position of appearing to have complete political authority, whilst simultaneously, aspects of his win hint at more of a loss for the Conservatives, rather than a ringing endorsement of the campaign, manifesto, and leader of Labour. Keir Starmer's post-election popularity has floundered since the get-go, but now months in has reached stratospheric levels of awful. So soon into the tenure of a new government, added to an egregious performance in the May local elections, leaving Labour red-faced, in fourth place with a paltry 98 seats and 0 councils, it begins to look like Starmer's longevity as PM and First Lord of the Treasury may not hold for a full term. For those members of the public who did not vote for this administration, there are limited hopes. First, that his own party topple him, via lack of confidence motion. Perhaps there are further potential means to unseat the PM before 2029, such as subsequent chaos on the financial markets, think of Liz Truss, or some as yet unknown governmental scandal. Time will tell. Enough of the background, let's dig a little into the detail. What makes this Labour incarnation so spectacularly awful, less than a year into their term? Essentially, it comes down to one simple sentence: almost without exception, every single decision thus far made by this government has been appalling. Don't believe me? Let's look at a number of examples. Labour made the almost instant decision to remove the winter fuel allowance, an annual payment of between £200 and £300, for British pensioners. Forgetting the appalling optics of this move, particularly for a left-wing government, this alienated a huge swathe of the general public, both those pensioners formerly in receipt, and of course, family members who would be concerned for their elderly relatives' welfare. Advice was clear that potential savings from the benefit withdrawal would be negligible. Nonetheless, Labour ploughed ahead. As of this week, it appears the PM is finally attuned to a full or partial reversal of the decision. It makes the administration look petty and weak. Labour has settled pay disputes with a number of striking societal factions since taking office, for example, junior doctors. This could, and of course has been, argued as a good thing, in the sense that the aforementioned strikes have abated. Alternatively, you may look at the detail and say to yourself, what happens when a government shells out inflation-busting pay rises to certain sections of the public, especially without any requirements for improved productivity? I'll leave that there, for your consideration. The Prime Minister has signed a number of agreements recently, including what has been described as a rule-taking surrender to the EU, a tariff/trade surrender to the US, and a territorial surrender, of the Chagos Islands, to Mauritius, at enormous financial cost to the UK taxpayer. It begins to look more and more like our Prime Minister puts the wishes of the rest of the world ahead of those of his own citizens. Further, the vindictive decision to add VAT to private school fees, again, which is costed to deliver little, save the closure of certain institutions, the loss of jobs, the overspill back into the already heavily stretched state sector, and crucially the removal of aspiring parents' ability to give their children a route out of relative poverty, came into force in January. Finally, in addressing the central question, why is this UK Labour government so rubbish? You only need to look at the front bench to see the dearth of talent. Nobody with the remotest experience of how business, and therefore a successful economy, works. Now, here's where it gets murky. Blue Bench Briefings takes the view that there are essentially two possible explanations for the terrible judgments and decisions of labor: either that this administration is hopelessly incompetent, devoid of ideas, and of limited IQ, and of course, do not rule these suppositions out. However, there is a second, much more sinister option, that this is in fact a willful strategy to dismantle the United Kingdom as it currently exists, and create a socialist state, where the majority of the populace are reliant upon government for sheer survival. Under this scenario, the state grows ever larger, as the people become more and more dependent. Blue Bench Briefings believes in limited government, a small state, personal freedoms, and the ability for as many as wish it, to be able to grow, set up business, and pursue their dreams, with minimal interference from Downing Street. It begins to look like this Labour government thinks fundamentally otherwise. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube video, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a future briefing.